Hello everyone, welcome to Shelf Space. I'm your host, Ross13, and today we got an extra special episode. That's right, your eyes do not deceive you. I have finally completed my perfect grade 1/60th scale Gundam Exia. I finished him at the end of 2019, and now he is my first review for 2020. I am so happy to finally show this off to you guys, so let's get into it. Okay. So to start off, I'm going to do things a little bit different this time. Not all of you have built a perfect grade or even a 1/60th scale kit out there. So I don't know if you guys truly understand how big this guy is. If you look at the top of the image, you can sort of see that he is just barely fitting inside my stage. But I'm going to go ahead and do comparisons first, just so you can really get a grip on how massive this figure is. So to start, I'm going to pull out the Gundam X-Age. It is a 1/144 scale HG kit, and I think this is where you're really going to start understanding what I'm talking about here. Boop. Yeah. Get the hint? No? How about 1/100 scale master grade, the 00? 1/60th scale is massive. As you can see, a 1/100 scale kit just barely goes over its knee, and the 1/144 scale kit doesn't even get close. Yeah, this guy's hovering a little bit, but the difference isn't that much. It's mind-boggling, but it's really cool too. But let's go ahead, get these guys out of here, and move on to articulation. So, like we normally do, we're going to start off with the head. And you'll have to excuse me, I'm having to reach around things because this guy is all weird on my stage. But let's take a look at that head sculpt. I keep bumping into my lights. Sorry about that. It is amazing looking. It's very smooth, but there's still a lot of little bitty details that the panel lining I did on here I think really helps make it pop. And it is super cool looking. You know what, let's go ahead and turn on the lights just so you get the full effect close up like this. Unfortunately, you're getting a bit of a flickering effect. Not quite sure how to make it not do that. The eyes do light up, but I'm not in a good position. Let's see if I can readjust the camera a little bit so you can get a better look at the eyes. There we go. So yeah, we'll turn that off for now. But he is super cool looking. I'm going to be careful with doing the posing on this because I don't want to mess up any of the wires, and I have been having some issues with it, and I'll go over that as I go through. But as you can see, the head can move around. Can't look up super high, but you can look down for a nice little brooding Gundam pose. No turkey neck that I can think of. And these little antenna fin thing on the chest are posable. You can push them back if you so choose. So the arms have a little bit of interesting jointing for butterfly movement. So you can really splay things out if you want. You can rotate things up and out a little bit. You just got to be careful because you got the power cable things here and the actual power cables there. So you don't want to snap anything. So I am, like I said before, I'm treating this thing with kit gloves. we're going to go ahead and take off the shield because that is proving problematic for posing. The way it's connected, it just keeps banging into the shoulder, and maybe I'm doing something wrong with it, but I don't see what. So the arm does, and there is one of the problems I've been having. I keep causing this thing to pop off. Anyway, so there's a bit of a double joint. Rotate this around so you can see that. So get a pretty decent bend out of it. You have rotation here, but again, you got to be careful because you got the wires running right along inside the elbow. No bicep swivel, or sorry, you got bicep swivel, no swivel here, but you do have wrist. And, because this is a perfect grade, these hands, there are multiple hands, are actually fully articulated. With the exception of the thumb is only articulated at 2 points. For the legs, you can kick forward, and as you can see, the skirt armor will get out of your way. And then let's rotate this around. And you do have that sort of 00 giant double knee thing going on. And to be honest, I kind of like how that looks. I've always thought it was kind of a neat look on those kits. So I'm glad that, you know, we still have that even at this larger scale. And the feet in particular have all sorts of fun articulation. Because you got jointing to point the entire foot down. You got jointing at the toe. Got rotation, ankle rocks. Oh, and you can do a pretty mean split with this guy. You can even kick back pretty decently. You get a little bit of interference with the back skirt. It does move, but not quite enough, at least with how I'm looking at things right now. But truth be told, I think that's relatively minor. So yeah, articulation on this guy isn't half bad. The main issue with it is you got the wires running all through it, so you have to be super careful when you move it. Maybe I'm being overly cautious, but that's because, you know, I don't want to break a, you know, several $100 figure. But he looks amazing. And that's kind of the main thing with this guy is he has presence. Partly because he's big, partly because he's got the LEDs. And mostly, I think, also because he is just amazingly well designed. At least for visually speaking. I do have parts that like to come off way too easily, though. So I don't know if that's up to my lackluster building skills or what. In particular, his arms don't want to stay attached to their biceps. It's really troubling, truth be told. And is one of the major drawbacks I have to this kit. But that's not to say I hate this thing or anything like that. It's just something that is a little bit of a problem for me. But let's go ahead and start taking a look at the accessories that this guy has. So let's go ahead and start off with one that you already got a glimpse at, the shield. Try to make sure I'm holding it so it's in the light. And pretty cool looking. It's hefty. As you can tell, it's also pretty big. And it has a neat little feature where if you pull on the sides, it expands out. And I don't know how well it's coming off in camera, but there we go. There is some little green bits that come into view. Not entirely certain what that's supposed to represent because I don't think the Exia had any sort of beam shield or GN shield capabilities. But it looks pretty darn cool. And the way that connects is you got a plug right here. And it goes just right in there. And on my copy, the shield feels like it weighs the arm down a little bit, so I can't quite get it into some super dynamic poses. But then again, I'm not trying super hard because, you know, I got the wire. But, no, it's holding up pretty well. Maybe I was just not trying hard enough last time. Next up, we have these. The GN long blade and the GN short blade. And these guys look pretty cool. They use some pre-painted silver plastic for the blades, which looks pretty darn sweet. And there isn't a whole lot of nubs showing on them, thanks to the undergating for the kit. These have a fun little gimmick. Let me try to get myself in a better position here. Where you can kind of open them up a little bit. And this right here is for connecting to ports on the side there. And I'm not going to try that because, truth be told, I tried it earlier after I finished building the kit. And it didn't work out so well. And I felt like I almost ripped the thing off. It doesn't look good. I always thought that even on other scales, it looked a little weird to have these things just sort of hanging off like that. And I just don't like the look of it when these at its sides. And truth be told, while these are kind of cool looking, I think some of the other weapons it has are a little bit cooler. Maybe I like this one a little bit more just because it's a longer sword. But there are other more interesting weapons. Well, perhaps not the most interesting weapon, it does have 4 beam sabers. Let's turn this guy around, you can get a glimpse of that. So we got 2 on the shoulders and 2 on the back. Let's just go ahead and pull this one here. So the handle itself is kind of interesting just because it's made up of a whole bunch of pieces. And let's see. You can pull out a little peg to help peg it into the hand. And let's see. We'll show off. Yeah. We'll show off one of the holding hands. So we're going to start off with this. Try to adjust the light so that way you can see things. And then it just snaps into place there. Then you can put this here. Okay, so now we got the hand all in position. And now we can use either the super long beam saber or the not as long beam saber. And that just plugs in like that. And good night, this thing is massive. Here's a 1/100 scale kit. it's taller than it. Though this isn't the first time we've seen a 1/60th scale beam saber on this channel. If I remember correctly, the NT Gundam had that for its Apex armor. But that looks pretty cool. And let's go ahead and get one on here so we can see what it looks like. And here it is holding the beam saber. And man, this thing barely fits in frame. One thing I gotta say I like though is that the hand that it's kind of meant for is holding it at an angle, which you don't see a whole lot of in pretty much any action figure line. So it's nice to see it at an angle. And the reason I like that is because as a fencer, or somebody who used to fence, I should say, I know that when you're holding a sword properly, you have your hand angled down ever so slightly. So it's cool to see that actually replicated in plastic form. But I gotta admit, I don't think I'm going to be displaying this guy with beam sabers too much because it's kind of unwieldy. And it's not exactly my favorite weapon on here. This right here is my favorite weapon in the entire kit. The Geon Sword, also known as the Geon Sword 1. And it is so cool looking. For one, it doubles as his beam rifle. I mean, it's more like a pistol than anything. But gun swords are always cool in my book. Always. And then you just have this massive blade. And this thing is massive. I mean, here's my hand. And there's the blade. If this thing were made out of metal, I'm pretty sure it'd be illegal to own in several states without proper permits. But we can rotate this thing out, move the barrel of the gun in, and then connect it in. And there we are. Now, the only problem is, like this, it is very heavy, and it's already trying to weigh the arm down. In fact, I think it's trying to pull the arm out of its socket a little bit. So that is a problem. But when you got it folded up like this, the weight of everything is more evenly distributed. Now, getting this thing on him is a nightmare, because you got to connect it to the palm of the hand, and then you also have to connect it into here. There is a port thing here, and the little connector bit is actually now kind of stuck inside there, but that's okay, because I don't plan on taking this guy off anytime soon. And I think the only thing I don't like is this sort of shield part. I would have had it resting a lot closer up like a proper shield. So I think it looks a little silly with it being so far off. But depending on where you're going to look at it, you're not necessarily going to see anything like that. Currently, I have him with the regular holding hands there. Eagle-eye viewers will probably note that I had the posable hands on there, but when I was setting up this particular shot, I decided to switch them out because I was having some issues. But here's a closer look at the posable hands. And then, in case you haven't noticed, this is a transition to me talking about all the different hands this thing has. Provided I can have things come together. So we also have the sort of, they can look more like a relaxed hand, but they're meant for holding the beam sabers and the Geon swords. Here's the other holding hand. You have basically the same ones for each hand. Here are relaxed hands. And then you also have clenched fists. And like I said, you have those for each side, right and left. So currently this guy has the articulated fingers hand and the holding hand there. There is one feature on this that I'm sure everybody really wants to see. And I showed it a little bit in the opening with all the lights turned off. But this guy does have LED lights. Now they're flickering because something about frame rates and stuff with the camera, but I don't seem to be able to change that. And we're going handheld here, so that way we can really see everything. It still looks pretty darn cool. As you push the button, you activate different modes. So here he is in Trans Am. And it kind of goes into a power down mode and then starts the cycle over again. Okay, another feature this guy has that I don't think I'm going to show off in this review is he does have quite a few opening panels, as, you know, perfect grade kits are wont to do. He even does have a pilot figure inside, but this guy's been giving me a little bit of trouble throughout the review, so I'm not going to worry about it. Hopefully that doesn't disappoint too many people here. You'll probably also notice that I've kept this guy on the stand, and that's because I have him plugged in for the lights, and also getting him on and off the stand is a bit of a hassle, so I didn't want to mess with him too much. I suppose that's the problem I have with this, is that some stuff feels a lot more fragile than it really should be. Some of the exterior armor bits come off a little bit easily for me, and these arms are not wanting to stay seated, and I don't know why. I don't know if I assembled something incorrectly, or if it's just a problem with the kit itself. I don't think it is, so most likely it's something on my end. So sort of your miles will vary. But I don't regret getting this kit. I don't regret building it. And this guy is going to be a really cool display feature somewhere in the house. I don't think he's going in the shelf space. He might be going on display in the dining room. I'll probably post a picture of that sometime later. But yes, thank you very much for sticking with me through this entire ordeal. From the unboxing to the final review here. Thank you everyone for the 100+ subscribers, and hopefully we'll reach 200 sometime soon. And thank you very much all to you just for supporting me. I'm not a big YouTuber or anything like that, and I know in the grand scheme of things 100 subscribers isn't that spectacular, but it's spectacular to me. I can't do this without everyone else's support, so thank you. And I wish everyone a happy new year and best wishes for the new year. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that fun YouTube stuff. Check the description below for links to my storefront where you can get official Shelf Space t-shirts and more. And yeah, thank you very much, and I'll see you next time you invade my shelf space.